it's delayed.
So if somebody swears, we can cut it, just like live TV.
Not quite because it's still live. It's just delayed 20 seconds.
20-second delayed. So
Are we almost ready to go? Do I need to be in place?
we're putting it on the website and we're ready.
Hang on, because nobody knows.
It is delayed. So we're gonna send a broadcast real quick to say you can now check it. It's gonna be on YouTube. So it's gonna be about
Put the link in there.
3 minutes. Yeah.
3 minutes.
Jason, who's sending that? Because I've got one half written.
Oh, send it to if you've got something written, send it to broadcast. We'll put the link in there and shoot it up there.
Okay.
Should we give people a little more than 3 minutes notice?
I mean, what time is it now?
I say 9:10.
Do we want to do so 9:10 or 9:15? Put a time in there.
Yeah, let's give them 10.
Jason, can we be ready at 9:10 in 10 minutes now?
9:10 would be actually we're ready right now. So anytime you send that link, we're gonna send out. It's going on the website right now. So if somebody refreshes it, it's up.
So should I tell them to refresh the live stream page?
Yeah.
Or are they getting a new link?
They're putting the new link
Link.
on their page, and so anyone that has a page up, they need to
Refresh it.
Ensemble link's gone. All right, let me see. Okay, do it. Do it private. No, he's got to refresh his cache. My cache is not refreshed and it's working. So that's what he's talking about. Oh, get that. Go back to the no. Right, highlight it. Right click on the link. Highlight it all. Do we have our cache info? No, 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 no. I know. Yeah, we still have the box coming up right there also. We're working on it. I'm gonna reset the cache on the old server. Something else is going on. It's like buffalo messages. All right, we'll reset the cache real quick.
Hey, Jason,
Yes.
is somebody on to help us right now?
Debbie's gone. Gordon.
I got the.
Yeah, we can send it from here.
Oh, okay.
They can remote in.
Okay, so I just sent that message to you. If you want to add a link in there, go ahead.
Yep. Something about sorry for the inconvenience.
That's in there. I said for any questions, call Jason Wilson.
It's if you want me to, you just say next. If not, this will be up here. I have a 20-second echo.
And we're going to send a link in the email. So we'll fix the website in a second. Just go back to the email, fix the. Okay, sounds good, man. 20-second echo just came through.
The stream's working good.
Broadcast email. Don't worry about that broadcast email.
Generally,
And then put that link in there. So
You got the recording set?
yes.
9:10.
Yeah, 9:10. 7 minutes.
So if anyone is currently listening to this, you will be getting a broadcast message shortly. We'll be starting probably closer to about 9:10. We are doing the final tests on the live streaming.
and it's about a 10-15 second delay. It's not quite 20. All right, website's working. All right, clear out the cache. Clear that.
Ron, let me know as soon as you give me back control. Okay, thank you.
Sure, I'm gonna start at 9:10.
Okay.
Start at 9:10.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
just trying to be set at the.
Yep. And your clicker is ready too.
Boy. Do y'all, any of you have it pulled up on your phone? Yeah, the link. I'm just curious. Perfect. All right, we're going to get started at 9:10, so thank you for bearing with us.
Hey, Jan or Ron? Jan or Ron? Sorry? How does your feed look? On my end, the camera looks out of focus. I'm not getting. Switch my phone, fine, but.
It's the jacket. Thank you. Right. Okay. All right. Are we ready? Yep. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, good morning. First of all, if I can say anything, is that the pandemic has certainly taught us a few things, and one of those things has been patience and just being able to trudge through unforeseen circumstances. So I woke up this morning and I was like, how can I welcome you? I just didn't want to say welcome. I wanted to do, in my own unique way, a welcome that would resonate with you even after I step off of the stage. So I'll start with this. Good morning, Bruins. How would you live if you woke up knowing that you can't lose? As a natural-born competitor, writing my own story since birth, I wake up each day knowing that I can't lose. This does not mean that things won't go awry. You won't have a flat tire, the kids won't act up, the electricity won't go out during a rain or winter storm. This doesn't mean that you won't face hardships, sickness, or even the loss of loved ones. Knowing that you can't lose means this, that in the midst of hardship, unforeseen circumstances, or even when things simply don't go as planned, in the midst of whatever you may face in life, you have an attitude of a winner. Now, I'm not talking about the attitude that'll have your mom giving you the evil eye. Or as my mom used to tell me, girl, don't you give me no attitude. That's not the attitude I'm talking about here. I'm talking about attitude, a positive way of training your thoughts, actions, and ideas to achieve ultimate desired excellence. Attitude. If you don't have it, get it, a new attitude. We can't lose if we approach each day with serving in excellence, the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. And before I bring up our Allie and Vicky to proceed with their recognitions, I will end with this. I challenge each of you to mindfully approach each day with an attitude of serving in excellence. Trust me, you can't lose. So welcome to the house that KCC built.
Good morning. I'm going to continue a bit with the idea of stories. Over the pandemic, one of the things that I learned was how many stories there were in my family as we had an opportunity to talk more and share stories. One of the best parts of my job, as I've told you before, is to be able to talk to our new employees as they come onto the campus and hear their stories and learn about them and talk to them about the stories I know about KCC. So I'm going to encourage all of you to reach out to these new employees or even people who have been here for a while and hear their stories, their experience of coming to KCC, their life stories. These are what our students have when they come here, is stories, and we're helping them build more. Just as we're helping our new employees to start their stories here with KCC, our employees who have gone on to advanced degrees, and their stories are evolving, and those of us who are starting a new chapter in our storybook. So talk about the stories amongst us and help write stories. Help other people write exciting, romantic, adventurous stories. And that's an opportunity we have here that many organizations don't. So let me share with you some of these wonderful people I have met as they've come onto campus and shared their stories with us. Dr. Baskins, who's become the Dean of Workforce Development. Karen Shalgren, working over in student success. Marco Delic, who's over in admissions. Lynette Mann, who has joined us in Upward Bound. I talked with Lynette yesterday, and she was so excited. Kristen McDermott, over in Student Life. Brandon Smith, who's over in the Media Center. Brendan Fleischens over in Information Technology. Caitlin Murphy Meyer in History, one of our new faculty. Kenneth Scott, Biology, and Jessica Sullivan in Sociology. Welcome them all. Tell them your story. Hear theirs. Now talking about people who have been in the organization and are continuing to write their story here in a different way. Jackie Brayman has moved over to lifelong learning. Pernell Gibson, who's now in working with retention of students. Megan Jackson in academic advising. Cab Redinger, who's moved on to the manager in media design. Vicki Rivera, who I'm happy to announce is our new CHRO as I leave. Cindy Lindbeek, disability and tutoring coordinator, and Scott Sepala for the Center of, I'm having a little trouble with the words today, Center Assistant out at RMTC. And those who are continuing to evolve their stories with their degrees. And any of you who've done it know how hard it is to carry down a full-time job at the same time you're pursuing a degree. And education is so important to us here. So congratulations to all of these individuals who have continued in with their degrees. Brad Fuller, who's moved on to a BA in Business Administration. Darcy Henning, who's moved on to Applied Sciences, Associate in Arts in Applied Sciences and General Studies. Brenda Richards, who's moved on to a BA in Business Administration. Reagan Williams, a Master of Education. Kim Madsen, a Master of Business Administration. Jennifer Rodriguez, a Doctor in Nursing Science. And Sonia Stempfler, who's added to her degrees with a Master of Science. Congratulations to all these individuals, and we appreciate them continuing to write KCC's story. Vicki?
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity and honor to be able to announce our upcoming employee retirements. One thing I did note is during the pandemic, it allowed people to experience life at home. So I have quite a few announcements here to share with you as a result. In honor and dedication that these people have served the college and the passion that they have brought every day, I want to say thank you. So, starting with Gwen James, our Executive Assistant to the VP of Student and Community Services, retiring. Naomi Livingood, our Director of Institutional Compliance and Reporting. Allie Robertson, our Chief Human Resource Officer, mentor, and person who has taught me much in my time here at KCC. Melinda Zabawa, our Financial Aid Verification Analyst. This one, special recognition to Jean Andrews, our Professor of Communications who has served this college for 48 years, touching students, employees, and many people. Robin Hunter, a professor in OIT. Sharon Powell, our Miller Building Coordinator who has been here for 40 years serving the people of the college. Patty Ralph, a specialist in Morris Library who's been here for 28 years. Jean Rice, a specialist in materials management at the industrial trades. Tom Rose, professor of OIT. Lynn Smolarkowitz, professor of nursing. Sue Stutler, professor of math and science. And Linda Younglove, learning systems analyst. This is so that you would follow what I was saying and not read. Thank you for your time, and I would now like to turn this over to Dr. Keck.
Good morning. It is always my honor to do the Employee of the Year awards for this academic year. Continuing, as Allie mentioned, with the theme of stories, to talk a bit about what this award is. It is named after G. Edward Herring, who was the college's third president and instrumental in creating the award back in 2006. These are the recipients from 2019-2020 from your nominations. The recipients were nominated by their coworkers, and I'm going to read portions of the nomination as I introduce each recipient. Each person will receive a recognition certificate, a $100 Visa gift card, and their own personal parking space for the academic year. These items will be delivered to the recipients later today. In this setting, we don't have them coming up on stage, missing that piece of it. Recipients will also be recognized by the KCC Board of Trustees at their September board meeting. Nominated for her work with the KCC men's basketball team and with the college's international travel program, the first recipient is Michelle Wright. Michelle volunteers her time to work with the men's basketball team with their study table. She cares about the success of the students and goes out of her way to help these student athletes by providing mentoring, arranging for course-specific tutors, and she brings them snacks, which is a big plus. Michelle is also instrumental with the international travel program, and she works tirelessly to ensure that the travel plans for students, staff, and community members explores all of the historic options available in a country, fitting as much into the travel timelines as possible. She ensures that the students reflect on the travel and create a presentation to share with others upon their return. You can hear Michelle's great passion for the history and the advantages of the travel program when she talks about their experiences. In all of this, Michelle fosters the mission of the college by ensuring that the students and community are receiving a high-quality education that will enrich their lives for years to come. Whether it is because of the travel program or the time she takes to mentor students, Michelle works intensely to help students meet their graduation and transfer goals. Congratulations, Michelle. This next recipient is nominated for how he works with others in meeting the educational needs of our students, and this recipient is Gordon Dunn. The nominator speaks highly of Gordon in that he always stops what he is doing to help people with their technology issues. If someone runs into him in the hallway and states that they are having an issue with their computer, Jordan takes a quick detour and helps to resolve the issue right away. By attending to issues at the drop of a hat, he is able to keep staff and faculty able to complete their work and students able to pursue their educational goals. When an employee stops what they are doing to attend to a fellow employee or to a student, they are going above and beyond. It would be so simple for Gordon to tell the employee to submit a work order and then wait until he finds the time to solve the issue. Gordon does not do that. He tackles issues as they are presented, allowing for the employee to continue working. By ensuring that staff, faculty, and students are able to have assistance with technology and that the college is able to meet the educational needs, Gordon ensures that KCC is providing accessible, high-quality education to all. Congratulations to Gordon. Nominated for her work in the college's 2019 celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, our final recipient is Jackie Hallahan. Creating the Hispanic Heritage Month Committee was not part of Jackie's job. It was from her noticing that there was a group of students that needed to be recognized and acknowledged. Jackie recruited employees and students to volunteer with planning and organizing the events, which included information on Hispanic leaders, and that information was displayed on the screens across campus. Hispanic movies were shown in the Binda Theater. A DJ playing Hispanic music was in the Student Center. There was a Latin lunch, a salsa class, a conversational Spanish musical chairs event, and highlighting Hispanic heritage as part of the hosting one of the KCC women's soccer games. Hispanic Heritage Month was beneficial to the college because it was inclusive of a population that had not been recognized in this way in the past. The events and games were used to educate students and staff, and by doing this, Jackie has been able to enrich the lives of the community and our students. Congratulations to Jackie. And now, Eric Green.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see us and hear us. My name is Eric Green. I'm the Chief Communications Officer here at KCC. And I've been here 8 years, and this was the 8th year of not being Employee of the Year, so we've all just learned that together. That's my one joke. There's no one here to laugh at it, so hopefully you're laughing hysterically wherever you are. I'm here today to talk about the campus reopening plan that we have been building. It's like building a plane while you're flying it. That's what it's felt like for the last few months. And so just want to go through a few things regarding our campus reopening, which it continues to evolve. But first of all, there's 4 guiding principles that we've used as we have approached this over the last 6 months. Number 1 is we want to be safety first. That has been the top of mind of every conversation and decision that we've had to make as a college. And number 2, we're seeking out a new normal. And I'll level with you, we're not there yet. I think it's going to be a while before we figure out exactly what our new normal is as an institution. Number 3, flexibility. This probably is one of the most important things, as we've experienced just this morning, of the need to be flexible and adapt to ever-changing conditions. And very importantly, number 4 is to remain mission focused. So in the last 6 months, much about KCC's operations has been modified, been changed, been affected by outside external factors, but our mission and vision have not changed, and our commitment to fulfilling that mission and vision have not changed. Ongoing planning is a key to our success. Before we talk about some of the things we're doing currently and in the future, let's just do a quick recap of where we've been over the last few months. You might recall when we all first started hearing about this new coronavirus back in about January. And it was on February 28th that KCC had its first conference call with Eric Pessel. He's the Calhoun County Health Officer here in Calhoun County. And that was a call basically to establish lines of communication, and the conversation was, well, we're hearing about this thing, this new virus. We don't know a whole lot about it yet, but we are preparing. We're hearing it's going to be a big deal. Less than 3 weeks later, on March 18th, we were actually making the unprecedented decision to close all 5 of our campuses, which remained closed for 3 months. And during that time, of course, we had essential workers that were mostly working from home. Very few people were here on the campus or at our centers. But during that time, again, because of our commitment to our mission and vision, our operation did not cease. Our instruction, our teaching and learning did not cease. We quickly pivoted to a remote model for our spring classes. We were in the middle of our spring semester. We created new virtual services so students could still get what they needed from KCC, and of course many of our employees were working remotely. Many challenges involved with this, many of them overcome, but again, we were flexible and we adapted. I think we can all be proud because it definitely took the entire campus to pull off the successful completion on time of our spring semester. We started our summer semester on time, finished our summer semester on time, and we even found a way to have a virtual commencement celebration in May. As you know, we reopened our buildings to the public on June 29th, and our doors have been open in a reduced fashion for the last 3 months. Also over the summer, Dr. Bennings created a campus reopening team which continues to meet weekly and make decisions on practices and rules and guidelines as new information comes in. A key aspect of all of this planning, which is, again, it's ongoing, it is continuing as we speak, but a key aspect is communication. Never more important than now is communicating the changed practices, the changed expectations, the new rules, new laws, new executive orders that continue to come our way. So here's a snapshot of our KCC homepage where we've had this slide up for months, pointing people, anybody who needs to know or wants to know what we're doing regarding the coronavirus can go to our web pages, and we have several pages branched off of that. that talk about the different announcements that we've made, the plan itself, which you can read in its entirety. In addition to this, in communication, we've put out numerous press releases. We've had a lot of social media activity where we can talk directly to students via social media. We've done media interviews so the general public is informed. There have been numerous written communications to employees, of course, in broadcast messages and other forms, but also to students. We sent one about a week ago to all incoming fall students, just a long laundry list of different expectations and practices once they come on campus. And of course, part of our new normal is lots and lots and lots of video calls and virtual presentations like this one. One key aspect of the communication has been making sure people who come to our campuses are aware of new sets of rules that we have. And again, I know I've said it about 5 times already, these continue to change. As executive orders get updated and rescinded and modified, as our own understanding of the virus and how it is transmitted and how contagious people can be, as well as questions and concerns that come from our own employees and members of the public and our students, the CRT, the Campus Reopening Team, is continuing to address those as best we can. So here's an example of just a few of the signs that you'll see up around our campus. We are marking off tables to try to accomplish social distancing in student lounges and the student center. We've got long, 6 feet apart floor graphics that demonstrate literally how far apart 6 feet is, so people have that visual in their mind when they're coming on campus. We have classroom requirements. These are going into all active classrooms, and we're putting those in classrooms literally this week. We started last week, so that students, when they come in, they will understand that they are required to wear a facial covering, they are required to sanitize their workstation, and they are required to stay 6 feet apart whenever possible, even inside the classroom. As a campus, we have many different types of spaces and layouts and many different ways that we use our spaces. So this led to a lot of conversations about how to apply certain rules. I'll give you a couple examples. Some of the executive orders earlier this year had to do with gymnasiums and fitness centers. Well, we have one of those, so of course we've modified accordingly. Some of the executive orders dealt with restaurants and dining spaces. We have one of those also. Some of the executive orders dealt with health settings. We also have that on our campus. So this is why it's been almost a Byzantine understanding how to navigate our way through this. We're not just a building and we have classrooms. We have many different types of usages on our campus. So there's about 30 different variations of signs out there. They all, in one way or another, encourage people to maintain good personal hygiene, to stay 6 feet apart, and to wear a mask, and definitely do your part. So we've even got Dr. Bennings in a campaign encouraging people to take ownership, take that personal responsibility, and make sure that they're doing what they can to protect their neighbors here on campus. As of today, we have had one confirmed case of a person who had COVID-19 who came to our campus. This was over a month ago. It's already over and done with. But I'll just give you a little context. As of today, also, the state of Michigan has nearly 98,000 total confirmed cases since the beginning of the pandemic. And as of today, the county that we're in, Calhoun County, has 778 confirmed cases. So we've had one, and I'll tell you that we had our response protocols in place prior to that case. Those protocols were followed. We worked with the Calhoun County Health Department. There was contact tracing and quarantining involved, and that went according to plan. So this fall, like literally Monday, is the start of our classes, and that's going to bring another change to KCC, and that is what everyone is talking about, the return to face-to-face classes. Now, we have had a few face-to-face instructional interactions over the course of the summer, but this fall we do have many classes that we're offering, again, not just in an online format. But to that point, this fall we are offering a mix, more online classes than ever before, and I think Dr. Watson's going to talk more about that. We also have the face-to-face classes, and then we have our newly formed hybrid classes, which we're defining as a portion of a class that is face-to-face and a portion that is not face-to-face. Those, of course, vary from course to course and subject to subject, depending on those course objectives. We're encouraging students when they come to campus. Of course, they're going to see all of our signs as they walk, from their car to wherever they're going on campus. But we're also encouraging them as part of our plan to do a daily self-assessment of their own health conditions, much like we employees are required to do now. We're encouraging that of our students before they visit campus every day. When it comes to classroom cleaning, I already mentioned what we're expecting students to do. But in addition to that, and those cleaning materials will be provided in the classrooms, by the way. Facilities is taking care of that. But in addition, our cleaning contractors are going to do a deeper cleaning and disinfecting of classrooms and other high-touch surfaces more frequently, and certainly more deeply in the evenings after each day's use. Public events have been canceled on our campus, or I shouldn't say canceled, they've been prohibited through December 31. That decision was just made about a week ago. They had been canceled all spring and summer long, and we decided as a campus reopening team to cancel through the end of the calendar year. In addition to that, the non-critical travel also is prohibited through the end of the calendar year. And employees who have been doing a remote working arrangement, that is continuing as of now through September 25th, and that's one of those moving targets that we keep assessing as we go. So lastly, as we move forward, and we are moving forward, make no mistake about that, we are going to remain flexible. We're going to remain safety-minded and definitely mission-focused. The campus reopening team is continuing to meet every week, and we're continuing to talk almost daily about different issues and questions and concerns that come up. We're going to be watching very closely to see what happens here in the next week or two as students start coming in larger numbers onto our campus. We're particularly watching the Student Center to see how behavior looks in there and whether we need to take any additional steps. So I think as the fall continues, we will continue to adapt. We'll continue to implement new rules, restrictions, practices as needed to prevent the spread of the virus and to prevent the formation of large groups of people. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience this morning as we work through some technical difficulties. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Paul Watson. This way.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you as we kick off the beginning of a very interesting year, but it's going to be a great year. There are two things I definitely want to spend some time in sharing with you, and the first one is actually regarding an update. The first update is really our reaffirmation for accreditation process that we began a year ago. I'm pleased to be able to report to you that the team and I, and also with the help of Dr. Martha Perkins in leading that group, we are on track with our timeline. As of right now, we have our first major draft for our assurance argument. On the right-hand side of that table that you have, if you remember from about a year prior, we talked about this list of activities. As you can see, we are on track from August 2020, and we are moving forward. The key thing for you to be aware of is as we move into the fall, pretty soon after our session at this point, you will see a KCC broadcast email that shows how you can get to that first draft, and also clearly pointing out how we are encouraging you to give us feedback. We're going to have some feedback sessions at the end of the next month in September, and we will also be looking for your final comments by mid-October. And that information is in that KCC broadcast email that will be winging its way to you shortly in the next few hours. Our goal in terms of the most immediate needs is that we will be heading into an updated draft in January with the goal of actually providing some simulation events or focus events in the spring that will enable us on campus to be prepared to showcase the fine job that we're doing here at Kellogg Community College with regards to the quality of instruction that we have on this campus. Secondly, the second reason why I've fortunate enough to address you this morning is with regards to some new awards that we have at Kellogg Community College. And this is, I probably will take the most time ever to introduce this because this is new to the institution. The primary mission of KCC is really to provide high quality educational opportunities responsive to the needs of the students and the community that we serve. The caliber of these opportunities and experiences, it really reflects the quality and commitment of our human resources here on campus. Among those resources are our teaching faculty, our counselors, and our librarians. They are ones primarily who deliver instructional programming and service to students. Therefore, it's appropriate, I believe, that we publicly recognize those outstanding faculty and their performance, which supports our ongoing college excellence. Of great importance to me has been the notion of legacy. In my earlier years, I sought to be like Professor Richard Jacobson, who was one of my mentors, one of my 3 mentors. Some of you who've chatted with me know about my 3. He was my mind. He was the one who really nurtured me to be a better instructor. I know many of you also look up to other instructors or have been mentored by others in your own pathways. So legacy is very important. So what we did is over the course of the spring and the portion of the summer is I had several conversations on campus, and 3 names stood out in terms of showcasing the legacy that we're referring to when it comes to delivering that quality programming from the faculty. Again, faculty, counselors, or librarians. These are individuals in the past who have sort of set the tone and the legacy that we want to move forward. The notion of putting the time in to benefit their students and the institution. Those who have shown a care and concern for students and who have maintained their own academic knowledge and prowess in the classroom. They really have impacted students for the better and have assisted the changing of trajectories that we talked about. I was fortunate enough to speak with the 3 individuals who I think have established that legacy on campus when it refers to the instructional group. And I'm thankful that after our conversations, they graciously accepted that these awards would be in their honor moving forward. Just so you're aware, Liz Newmeyer is going to be the individual that we're going to name our Distinguished Faculty Excellence Award after moving forward. Ron Smith is going to be the individual we're going to hold our Faculty Excellence Award up as an example, and also Randy Koff, that he will actually represent the Part-Time Faculty Excellence Award, having begun his career in that manner. Those are 3 individuals that I was honored to speak with earlier in the summer, and really, I had heard about them, I had read about them, and I had the occasion to speak to all of them over the course of the past year and a half. But it was amazing to hear their humility, to hear their passion still about mentoring faculty and continue their connection to the institution. Ron is still teaching here, but I know that the work that he continues to do is appreciated. And Liz, for example, just completed one of the techs. Randy, I spoke with Randy even this spring as he was chatting about mentoring someone who was new on board. So these are 3 individuals that I would like us to hold up as beginning that tradition, and even before them, the notion of legacy in terms of what it means to be a good instructor and doing great for our students and the institution. So moving forward, there are 3 inaugural winners of those awards that really exhibited the following. Appropriate personal characteristics, professional skills and behavior, communication, and doing that effectively, planning and organizing learning experiences, facilitating student learning, evaluating students, providing student services, stimulating lifelong learning. These are all the attributes that I know Randy, Liz, and Ron continue to have and have exhibited here at KCC. The winners of these awards, there will be a naming area that we will create in the student center area. You're going to see it going up on one of the walls pretty soon. They also will be receiving some certificates, and they'll be chatting with me about joining me on the second committee. I'm thankful to have had a group of peers from Faculty Senate, as well as some of the instructional administrations, to assist me in the naming of the first 3 individuals. First of all, I would like to congratulate Chris Jakeway as one of the recipients for the Full-Time Faculty Excellence Awards. Pete Williams was the second that was the recipient of the Full-Time Faculty Excellence Awards. And finally, for the Distinguished Faculty Excellence Awards, I'd like to congratulate Clark Imus. All of those individuals, Clark Imus, Chris J. Quay, and Pete Williams, truly were nominated by students and recognized for their capacity on what they have done for students in and outside of the classroom. Our Please Note or Adjunct Award winner will be named at our adjunct orientation later on this week, and at some point you will receive a broadcast identifying that person by name. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing and hearing more of what many of you do to moving forward our legacy here at Kellogg Community College. At this time, I am honored to present to you Teresa from the Foundation, and she will give you an update in that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Watson, and good morning. I truly hope you and your families have been well and safe during this unprecedented time. Your KCC Foundation ended its 2019-2020 fiscal year having raised close to $640,000 for scholarships and helped the college secure a $100,000 grant from the Denso North America Foundation for a unique skilled trades project to begin later this fall. While the global investment market was quite tumultuous during the early days of the pandemic, the Foundation's portfolio has recovered and posted assets back above $11 million at the end of July. We started our new fiscal year mourning the loss of two special donors, our dear friend and KCC retired faculty member Randy Koff, and local baseball legend and mentor Carl Angelo. Both will always be remembered through their contribution and commitment to our KCC Bruins. Next slide, please. This past spring, the KCC Foundation made 414 scholarship award recommendations, totaling just shy of $595,000. And with the second round of applications in process, we should see both of these numbers increase before the start of the 2020-2021 academic year. This illustrates the growing number of students seeking scholarship assistance to help support their educational goals, and the importance of our work and your giving to propel them to success. The Foundation team cannot thank enough everyone who participated on a scholarship review team. We launched our new online system amidst the shutdown, and we appreciate everyone's patience while we built and learned this new exciting platform. Your involvement in this process truly opens doors and changes lives. Next slide, please. Let me introduce you to Hope, a bronze sculpture commissioned by the Battle Creek chapter of the American Association of University Women to commemorate their 100 years of local service. The sculpturist, Paula Blinko Collins, is a Harper Creek High School graduate and former KCC student. A big shout out to our maintenance staff for their careful unpacking and storage of Hope, and we look forward to her installation later this fall at the new North End Gateway Micro Park. We love Hope. What a befitting name for our times. Next slide, please. I have to say, it's a little strange to not have the energy of a full in-person audience in front of me today. At the Northern Trust PGA event this past weekend, pro golfer Tiger Woods commented on the challenge of maintaining a high level of energy on the course without the fans, and how you have to find that energy within yourself to do your best and be your best. And lastly, speaking of the golf energy and being our best, we are so proud and thrilled to be hosting the 23rd Annual Bruin Scholarship Open on September 11 at Binder Park Golf Course. With the phenomenal support of returning and new sponsors, we are close to raising $85,000 to date for student scholarships. This is amazing, considering the times we are in right now. This event, our signature event, is loved and appreciated by many in our community and is a huge benefit for our students. That is why we hope you will come out and help us this year. The format has been changed to allow for golfers to arrive and rotate in throughout the morning in order that we comply with CDC guidelines and state executive orders. Our goal is to have everyone, golfers and employees, have a safe and fun experience. Showcase our great institution, honor and thank our sponsors, and raise much needed funds to support our KCC Bruins. A big shout out to those who have already signed up for a shift or are going to be there the full day that we hope will end by 4 p.m. So if you have not done so and are interested in participating, please call the foundation office and we can provide you with all the details and the perks of being at the Open. So again, thank you everyone for all you do for the KCC Foundation. Have a super semester. And now I will turn the podium over to Kim Andrews Bingham.
Next slide, please. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kim Andrews Bingham. I'm Director of Industrial Trades Education and happy to be co-chair of the Equity and Inclusion Committee. I'm happy to be with you this morning to talk about the important role equity work has been playing at the college. I'd like to start by highlighting some of our past accomplishments, then move into more current work and on to what you can expect in the coming year. I'll start with highlights from our recent Equity Climate Assessment. As a reminder, the assessment was intended to give employees and students the opportunity to share feedback and learn how we're doing as a college to create an equitable and inclusive environment for everyone, no matter who they are. Through the assessment, we gained valuable insights into areas of equity in which we are doing okay as a college, but also areas in which we could improve a little. The information gathered is important for all of us. Unless we know where we started, we won't know if we've made progress. We also can't begin to understand the lived experiences of our students and colleagues unless we ask them what they think and then learn through what they've told us. Through the assessment that was completed in early 2019, can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Through the assessment, we engaged a team of consultants in campus visits, student and employee focus groups, and surveys, and we engaged 763 students and 230 employees who gave us their feedback, which we grouped into themes. Those themes were degree of equity, diversity, and inclusion at KCC, our employment practices, safety on campus, discrimination, harassment, intimidation, and physical accessibility. I'd like to remind us that although diversity, equity, and inclusion are sometimes used interchangeably, they actually mean very different things. Inclusion is making sure everyone feels truly welcome and a part of the college. Equity is making sure that we each have what we need to be successful here, but also recognizing that we all need different things, so one approach is not going to work for everyone. Diversity means not only becoming a college that looks more like the communities we serve, but also one that really sees how such diversity of background and thought makes us a better place. Overall, through the assessment, we found employees who are members of historically marginalized groups often felt a little less included here, a little less seen, and a little less supported by the college. These groups included people of color, members of the LGBTQ community, women, and those differently abled. Members of majority groups didn't feel like they had experienced inequitable treatment as much as their counterparts. Students overall had a bit more favorable view of KCC than many of the employees did. Following the assessment, last summer we had an equity planning retreat. This was a full-day off-site retreat that included members of the Equity and Inclusion Committee, but also many members of the KCC leadership team. At the retreat, we reviewed assessment findings and set priorities for equity work for the coming year. We also formed work groups, and these groups focused on things like employee professional development to engage in equity work, embedding equity into our performance review process, making sure support staff felt more included at KCC, and continuing to look for ways to better support those with disabilities on campus. Before the college's closure, these groups did make a lot of progress. A plan to embed equity in the performance review process was started and was almost ready to pilot with a group of administrators. Through the assessment, it became apparent that support staff have some important thoughts on how we can more equitably engage them across campus. So to better understand their concerns, we engaged in detailed feedback conversations with them and also group conversations. A survey was also in process, and this was to be provided to support staff so they could provide more detailed feedback to us about their concerns. And finally, a training on working in a multi-generational college environment was provided by Dr. Watson. Next slide, please. So that's a quick recap of where we started. And as we close that conversation out, I'd like to move into what we completed just in the last academic year in 1920. So as everyone is in different places in this work and has different levels of comfort with it, the Equity Committee tried to create learning opportunities that could meet people where they are and accommodate busy schedules. At interim session in January of this year actually, a semester-long calendar of events was provided. It included opportunities for learning for employees for opportunities such as TEDS, which stands for Tiny Equity at Your Desk Sessions. These were designed to provide convenient learning opportunities that employees could engage in on their own time. They were brief videos that were offered monthly through a broadcast message, and they also included a feedback link so that you could adjust, so we could adjust future content based on employee feedback. These were just getting off the ground when the college closed, but they can easily be revived in the future. Another thing that was offered were faculty professional development sessions. There were 3 sessions planned, and they were developed, driven, and offered by faculty. The Equity Committee did serve as a resource, but before our closure, 2 sessions were offered. The first one was called Is Equity a Thing? And the second was Equity and Assessment in Syllabi. A third learning opportunity was launched and will be resumed now that we're back on campus. This multi-week Moodle course focused on equity concerns in the classroom and was developed and led by faculty from across the curriculum. In April, an equity speaker was planned. Dr. Amr Ahmed had planned to discuss exploring identity to create a respectful and inclusive climate here at the college, but due to the pandemic, this was canceled. We'd like to reschedule things like this in the future, though. We also provided some equity lunch and learns. There were 2 that were offered before the closure. The first was in February on Black inventors, and the second was in March, where we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. Another commitment of the Equity Committee to all of you at the college was to communicate more with you on what was happening with this work. In order to do that, we committed to providing monthly equity updates. These were provided consistently starting in January and stopped with the pandemic closure, but hopefully can resume again soon. These were sent out through Bruin News and broadcast emails. And finally, at the semester calendar events, which I just reviewed with you, we also included things like learning opportunities and engagements through groups on campus like the Women's Network, Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month committees, and musical and theater performances with an equity focus through our Arts and Communication Department. In addition to all that, the Equity Committee also established some goals for ourselves. In addition to these college-wide learning opportunities, work had started with individual departments who wanted to assess and improve their equity practices. Key equity indicators were also identified for use in tracking KCC's equity progress. They included both student and employee data. And in partnership with HR, hiring practices were reviewed and changes recommended. These recommendations were prioritized by Dr. B and HR leadership and included things like masking personally identifying information for applicants, omitting applicant salary history, and creating formal social media and online search policies and procedures. While these changes are in different levels of completion at this time, HR has already started to offer more support to applicants who need special accommodations during the interview process. Next slide, please. So now that we're caught up on our progress made in our equity work and have reviewed what happened this last year that we just closed out, I'd like to talk about what's coming up. So we have a new president. She has lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm, and Dr. B has agreed to co-chair the Equity and Inclusion Committee, so we're very excited to be working with her. The committee met once during the closure, and we've met twice since returning in June. We've decided it's time to redefine what the committee looks like so that we can decide where our energy is best placed moving forward. Our immediate goals start with things like reviewing the role of committee members. And in doing this, we are going to be creating a CDQ, so that's a committee description questionnaire, and it'll be like a job description for people that want to serve on the committee. This will make it clear to future members what their role will look like. As part of the CDQ process, we've started to revisit the committee charter to assure our mission, vision, and scope align with the college's work. And we also want to build in roles for others that have little time to serve on the committee but who still want to play a larger role in this work. In this fall, we plan to meet with public information and marketing so we can brand equity at KCC. We want to create visuals and materials that represent the work and reflect an answer to the question, when you think of equity at KCC, what do you see? So in terms of KCC's equity work, that's where we've been, where we are, and a little about where we're headed. So before I turn things over to Dr. B, I'll just touch on our strategic plan. Just like all the work at the college, the Equity Committee's work needs to support the goals of our new strategic plan. Senior leaders and other KCC employees have worked hard to implement a process that gathered feedback from all of us and our various stakeholders and set a course for our future as a college. I'm happy to say equity is a big part of that plan. I'll now turn things over to Dr. B so she can offer additional insights into what's in store for us at KCC. Thanks.
All right. Next slide, please. So now we're here to the part where we talk about the next 3-year strategic plan. And before I venture into the details of how we got to where we are today, as you note here, the title of the plan is Ahead of the Curve. And when I liken the title to the realm of athletics, I think of a race where I ran the third leg of the relays, and always a good indicator of where you were in the race would be like where you were positioned on the curve. And I was really good at running the curve, and I didn't always win at that point. Sometimes it meant running into the face of the wind. Sometimes it meant perhaps on a relay dropping a baton or catching a cramp or a light injury. But what does this mean for KCC when we talk about ahead of the curve? So when everyone is training the same way, what can we do that puts us, KCC, ahead of the curve? To be ahead of the curve means to be open to change. It means to think out of the box. And it means a new way of doing what we already do, and in many cases do well, but doing it better. So that's what I mean by ahead of the curve. So as I introduce this plan, you'll see that this plan was not something that was just thought up on a whim. It was not something that was thought up just as Dr. Benning's idea. It was something that truly was organically grown through community and employee input. A plan that was put together to shape and impact the position for our students to be successful in every environment. So today I present to you ahead of the curve. Next slide, please. So to get to where we're going, you have to know what we're transitioning from. And what you'll see as we move forward to the next 3-year strategic plan, you'll see some of the elements of the previous 3-year plan translate into the work that we'll be focusing on as we move forward. And so here I'll just touch lightly on the 8 focus areas of the 2017 through 2020 strategic goals. These included centers, courses, equity work, student inclusion and engagement, effectiveness, accreditation, employees, and student completion goals. So as we move into this next 3-year plan, it does not mean that the work here that started and was carried on from the previous strategic plan stops. It means that there's yet much work to be done. And if we could each ask ourselves, are we there yet? No, we are not there yet. We've got a long way to go, but we're on the right track. Next slide, please. So I'll give you a quick overview of the nitty-gritty. Now, this timeline makes it look really nice and clean, but there was a lot of work that went on behind the scenes. There was a lot of time taken out of our normal work schedules to really dedicate towards implementing, developing, designing, and getting to the point that where we are today. So I'll start with, in January, when I first arrived, one of my first priorities was, where are we at with the strategic plan? And what needs to happen to build upon that or move us forward into the next strategic plan. So that started with the formulation of SWOT. And so you've heard me say SWOT in many different settings, but SWOT stands for our approach must be strategic, our plan must be well informed, our team, our employees must be actively engaged, and ultimately the plan itself must be tenable. So in February, we moved forward with input sessions. I'm so thankful that we were able to accomplish this before COVID. We had some minor adjustments right before we had to close the campus, but by then we had accomplished much of what we did input-wise in person. And so that was sessions designed over the scope of a week. I believe we had 10 sessions, so it was a whirlwind week where we invited employees as well as community members to come and participate and address 5 questions, which would help us then formulate themes and develop the next 3-year strategic plan. We then facilitated a student focus group in March. It's always important to have the voice of the students because ultimately that's why we're here. That's who we're here to serve, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our students. April through May, we conducted, through the third-party services, economic impact study and program gap analysis. And so this was a way to capture not only what we're doing, but the value of what we're doing to our stakeholders, our students, our alumni, our constituents, but also what are we offering and where are those gaps or opportunities for us to seek further academic offerings or change or transform the way that we're presenting what's available for our students. So there's yet much work to be done with that, and we'll share more of those details and highlights from the plan as we move forward. In June, we had all the information from the input sessions aggregated and summarized and presented in a final report by the Social Policy Research Group. And that then translated into the work for our strategic planning work sessions, where we dedicated time over the course of 1 day from 9 a.m. to 12 with the core team now taking all of this data, all of the recommendations, and now building what we are going to see here as our strategic themes. Now, the engagement for the employees and the Board of Trustees did not stop there. Once we got together, there was a survey that was launched to now help us identify through your input, what do you see as critical and important for the college to focus on as we move forward. And that is what you'll see here. We presented to the board just last week, in August at the August board meeting, the strategic plan. There was only one minor update to that, so I can really say that we did the work and we put in a lot of work, and this was not done by one leadership. It was not done by just my office. This was truly the work of everyone. So with that being said, you are here. Now, this doesn't mean that we've arrived. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. So I'll transition here to, before we transition to the next slide, I'll tell you that what you'll see is that there are 3 themes, and what I like into 3 pillars are pillars of excellence. And these 3 themes each are supplemented by 3 strategy statements. And so if we'll go to the next slide, I'll introduce the first one to you here. So the first theme is student success. KCC understands that student success is influenced by the individual student experience, the systems, protocols, departments, faculty, and staff that students encounter in their educational journey. We inspire learning through collaborative efforts to support the academic, social, and economic success of our students. And that is supplemented by the following 3 strategies: student programming, Bruin quality focus, and sense of belonging. Next slide. So now I'll give you a synopsis of each of those supplemental statements. So for student programming, this is what we mean. KCC provides a roadmap through guided pathways for individual student success within the framework of connection, entry, progress, completion, and transition. We strive to facilitate effective programs, course offerings, policies, practices, and processes that put each student in position to succeed. Next slide. Next, we have Bruin quality focus. And this Bruin quality focus is something that you'll see throughout the strategic plan, but this is also something that will translate into areas of recognition, reward, and ultimately a service philosophy for the college. Bruin quality focus. KCC commits to the assessment of courses, programs, and services. We are proactive in our efforts to identify apparent and underlying student needs and continually provide the highest quality service. Next slide. Sense of belonging. KCC advances student success by providing personalized support services, ensuring access to resources, and embracing an array of viewpoints, backgrounds, and experiences in all settings. And that is the area of focus for our student success theme. Next, we'll move to operational excellence. Next slide, please. So operational excellence is our second pillar. And it is through a culture of continuous improvement, Kellogg Community College promotes the responsible management and utilization of resources supported by sustainable infrastructure and fair and equitable policies and practices. The supplement strategies for that theme is infrastructure, data governance, and financial viability. Next slide, please. So, infrastructure. KCC invests in the use of technology to support student success, leverage technical agility, and sustain academic and administrative operations across the institution. We maintain our campuses to ensure a safe, clean, functional, sustainable, and welcoming environment for the benefit of students, faculty, staff, and community members. Next slide, please. Data governance. KCC strives to promote productive workflow, timely access to information, the use of automated and dashboard reporting, and availability of accurate data to shape best practices and inform institutional decisions. And the third supplemental theme for operational excellence, next slide please, is financial viability. KCC engages in collaborative and innovative activities to diversify funding sources and align organizational systems, policies, and processes for the effective stewardship of financial resources. Aligning KCC's financial resources with its strategic priorities is essential for sustainability and creates an environment of flexibility and responsiveness to the evolving higher education landscape. And the next slide, please. So last, our third pillar for the strategic plan is culture. Kellogg Community College cultivates an environment of trust as a foundation of our culture of enrichment, engagement, transparency, and accountability. Through shared leadership and collaboration, we model the importance of productive working relationships and professional partnerships. The three strategies for culture are communication, partnerships and community relations, talent management, and development. Next slide, please. So communication. KCC embraces communication by sharing timely, relevant information that is integral to the institution's stakeholders, planning, and operations. Communication is critical to institutional culture, morale, efficiency, and the achievement of institutional goals. Next slide, please. Our next strategy is partnerships and community relations. KCC connects with the community through partnerships with stakeholders, labor, government, K-12 school districts, institutions of higher education, and professional organizations to support student programming, workforce development, and economic development initiatives. Next slide, please. And the third strategy for culture is talent management and development. KCC supports a planned, systematic, and inclusive approach to attract, onboard, develop, engage, and retain high-performing employees. Talent management and development are vital to growth and a learning environment where employees are provided professional development, training, and learning opportunities. And next slide. And so you have the house that KCC built, right? And so when you think of a house, you have the pillars, you have the supporting structures, you have the roof, you have the covering. So what do we strive? What do we operate under? So our mission is we are dedicated to providing accessible, high-quality education to enrich our community and the lives of individual learners. The vision is Kellogg Community College will be recognized as a premier institution of higher education, having achieved excellence through innovation, quality instruction, a culture of continuous improvement, and learner-centered decision-making. And then I'll go to the foundation because, as you know, I'm no architect and I don't do flipping houses or anything like that, but you have to have a solid foundation. And so in keeping with the mission of accessibility and tending to the needs of a diverse population and meeting each student where they are, we focus our foundation. Our foundation is built upon equity, diversity, and inclusion. At Kellogg Community College, we are committed to creating an inclusive environment where we foster respect for others and our differences, support cultural understanding, and demonstrate ethical behavior and champion social justice. Now, the three pillars, which I've already gone through, you'll see there, are student success, operational excellence, and culture. And if you'll note one thing that was written, the way the statements were written, they were written in active present tense voice, because even though we may not be there in all of those areas, this is the vision for KCC as we move forward with the next 3-year strategic plan. So what's next? Next slide, please. A balanced scorecard. As you know, with any strategic plan or with any performance measure, there's always got to be certain indicators and metrics which inform how well are we doing, are we holding ourselves accountable. And so what you'll see here is just a glimpse into what is coming, and I'll be working with the SWAT team to formally launch a balanced scorecard over the next few months. Departments, divisions will be working with their leads, their VPs, to develop objectives for the division. Those objectives will be reviewed by the SWAT team so that we can then go through and sort through what needs to be highlighted as a dashboard reporting or key performance indicator at the institutional level. So the balanced scorecard will take all of the elements of the strategic plan, the strategies, And then it will encompass the objectives that are designed and developed by the divisions and translate into a recurring report as well as publication of information on our strategic planning website. Next slide, please. Also, what is next? Here is a glimpse of the strategic planning website. The website is already active. There is a coming soon notice because we will publish the strategic plan there. And here is where I envision that the dashboard will be maintained, key updates and progress and metrics will be tracked on this website, and everyone will be able to access that on the front-facing end. So it won't be just an employee or student access, but it's a transparency factor as well where members of the public and community can access it as well. It's going to do three things. It'll tell us what we're doing, inform what we're doing, how well we're doing, and are we successful. Next slide, please. So, as I begin to wrap up, I have to acknowledge, first of all the employees, faculty, staff, community members who participated and lent your voice to shaping this strategic plan. But the work certainly was not done. It wasn't easy. And so with the formulation of the SWAT team, I just definitely want to take out a minute just to acknowledge our SWAT team members. Their work will continue through each year of the strategic plan. We'll have some work and key activities that will keep us on track with the strategic plan. So that is Teresa Durham, Executive Director of the KCC Foundation, Eric Green, Chief Communications Officer, Dr. Kay Keck, VP Student and Community Services, Allie Robertson, Chief HR Officer, Pauline Rumbaugh, Manager, President's Office, and Dr. Paul Watson, VP of Instruction. So I want to thank you all for being committed to the process and the plan and working through the ebbs and flows as we move forward into this new dynamic. I also have to acknowledge the Board of Trustees who have been a tremendous support, not only of myself and the transition into this new role, but also into the work of KCC in the development of the strategic plan. And so that's John Bird, Secretary, Jill Booth, our Vice Chair, Steve Claywell, our Chair, Matthew Davis, our Treasurer, Xenia McKay, Trustee, Carla Reynolds, a Trustee, and Patrick O'Donnell, a Trustee. So I want to thank them all and thank you all for your support and your work and your continuing efforts towards the strategic plan. So next slide, please. So, as you know, I always like to introduce the element or have an element of athletics. That's my background. I'm certainly no longer an athlete, nor can I say that I have the joints of a full functioning athlete, but I do carry the baton. And so if you recall, if you participated in any of the sessions, you may have seen that there was a handoff of the relay baton. And this baton was symbolic of us challenging you and tasking you with the responsibility of maintaining the momentum of moving us towards the mission, fulfilling the mission, modeling the mission, and becoming the mission, and being a champion for KCC and all that we do. So I have to acknowledge the employees that receive these batons because you're on the spot, so you've got the baton. Jason Little, our Director of Technology Operations. Yanira Flores, Specialist, Accounts Payable. Priscilla Diego Moya, Career Coach, Workforce Solutions. Graham Smith, Faculty, Math. Dennis Baskin, Dean, Workforce Development. Michael Houston, Academic Advisor. Tricia Drake, Center Assistant, Faisenfeld. Karen Shalgren, Education Specialist, CSS. Sarah Reed, Specialist, CES. Sue Stetler, Faculty, Math. Our community members that received the baton are Dr. Deborah Nuzzi, forgive me for the mispronunciation there, Director of Secondary Education, Battle Creek Public Schools, and Dr. Kevin Rabanal, Chair of the Health and Human Performance Department at Olivet College. Next slide, please. So this is just a picture that captures some of the activities. You see there's different emotions, different levels of engagement, some serious, some smiling, some laughter, some hard at work. But this is just something to just capture the memory of the work that we did and the work that we all came together to do to fulfill and really shape how KCC moves forward. And so the next mission, next slide. I'll end with this, and this is something that it just resonates with me. I carry this quote with me internally, but it's one of my favorite quotes by Simon Sinek. Regardless of what we do in our lives, our why Our driving purpose, cause, or belief never changes. So remember this: you are the brand of KCC in what you do, how you speak, how you serve, and even how you think. So how do you represent KCC even when no one is watching? I challenge each of you to represent the best of KCC in all that you do, for all that we serve, and in everything as we strive to move forward. And if we'll go to the next slide, please. Now, this is just a slide to take us out, and in this part of my presentation, if you want information about the sessions, you can go here, kellogg.edu/sessions. And so with that being said, we're moving fast-paced, but I envision that KCC will be ahead of the curve. Thank you, and have a great day.